So first things first. All right. I'll have you know I just hit record. um so from here on out, this is all going to be on the Patreon page. Once we actually get into the questions and stuff, that part will be in the podcast only. Um so anything that we're going to talk about now will be like bonus stuff for people, and anything that we talk about after will be bonus stuff.
Okay.
So first things first, how are you doing today?
Um, I'm doing pretty okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I've been working hard. Um, you and I were talking right before I hit the record button about, a couple different struggles within the musician life,
Yeah.
you know? And we are gonna it's funny. It's so funny that the way that we have these questions lined up, I wasn't even expecting them to line up directly with a life moment. Because like I said, I didn't even come up with the question. It was just Holly's, that one question about discouragement. That was all Holly, like just trying to get a feel, looking for some uplifting stuff for people. And then here you are going through real real music career stuff.
Hmm.
So, but you know what? But it's cool. So like I don't know if I'll post it or not for Patreon, only maybe with your permission on obviously, but maybe maybe people could see, or actually even better yet, they should go to your Patreon and you should show the people um who are here the song that you wrote about this scenario.
I could actually probably do that.
What is your Patreon page?
My Patreon is patreon.com/AbbyK on bass.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And we will make sure to bring that up in the when we get to the questions and stuff like that. So it'll be on the podcast.
Okay.
Um the podcast has been pretty fun, as you know. Um so real quick for anyone who's watching this part right here, I've known Abby for a few years now.
Mhm.
And uh she opened up for Nita Strauss when I was there, and then she became my student on bass. And I even kind of became a bit of a mentor at times to Abby, where even though her bass playing is so on point, sometimes, it makes me feel so good to when she reaches out and asks for advice on stuff, because this is a cruel, cruel world out there.
Mhm.
And, we're always trying to do the best we can. And so she knows just how much I love teaching. Um, secret, all my lessons are booked for an hour. I don't usually stick to the hour. I usually try and keep my students on the horn until they're like, all right, listen,
Two hours.
I'm getting married. I'm having a baby. Like I have to go, like, yeah. It's just cause I like it, because I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot the hard way. Um, I haven't learned all the things the hard way, right? But I've learned a lot of the lessons that I learned the hard way. And I love teaching those lessons to people, not because I feel better, because I don't want those people to make those mistakes. Like, in fact, I talk about all the things that I talk about because I want everyone to be better than me. Like, as selflessly as I can approach it, because shit was really hard for me. I used to get really worked up. Um, when I was younger, I had a really, really, really bad temper, and I would get so worked up about stuff. And anytime something went wrong, it would affect me so much. And it wasn't until I became a dad that, and like I actually had a kid, and like you'll know, but there was nothing on this planet that'll piss you off like a 2-year old. When he's your 2-year old. I'm serious. It's because like as they're coming in, they're like, you'll tell them to do something, and they'll know like this is the wrong time to mess with you, but they're
Mhm.
gonna push that button because they're trying to get their feel for the waters. And they push you and push you and push you until you're right at that moment. And it was like right at that moment, I was like, all right, I can either strangle this kid or I could just not get upset about it. And it was like this one moment. It was just like, and I was all of a sudden able to control my emotions better. It was being a father. I literally remember the physical moment when my son was on timeout and he was just kept talking back. And I was like, I'm going to kick the shit out of this kid. I didn't, but at this point, you haven't seen, but he's bigger than me.
Yeah.
He's 13 years old. He's like an inch taller than me.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. That means he's like 2 feet taller than you.
I'm not that short.
I don't know. You're pretty tiny. Large and in charge when you're holding that base, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, and so a lot of those moments, a lot of those things. That's why I love this podcast, is because getting to share those stories, getting to share that advice with people.
Yeah.
Um, and we're getting some likes, we're getting some views, we're getting some stuff. I don't care if for me, I'm approaching it the same way I approached music in the beginning. Like I totally got jaded with music at points because you start playing, right? You have all these shows, and then they start getting more and more people. You start getting better and better shows. The last thing you want to do once you like start getting used to packed shows is to play a show for no one,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you're playing those shows for no one, all you ever care about is like that one life. Just want to
Mm-hmm.
change that one life, right?
Yeah.
And luckily, after the last 7 or 8 years being fairly successful in a climb for me, I definitely saw myself, getting jaded about stuff, not wanting to do some of the little stuff because I was just constantly trying to climb the ladder. And it's good to keep yourself in check. And that's one of the cool things about this podcast and getting to do these extended interviews is getting to get back to those roots of, you know, changing one life, helping one person with one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I do every single episode of this podcast from beginning to end and this Patreon and I do one thing for one person, it's cool, you know? And that's what it's really about. It's what it's always been about for me. And I just like want to find my place. There's like very few things that I'm really good at. One, talking. No problem there.
Yeah.
Two, playing guitar or bass. No
Mm-hmm.
problem there either. Three, being a dad. I'm probably better at being a dad than I am at anything else at this point. But other than that, yeah, I kind of so it is a natural thing for me, talking to my friends and peers and family members. At this point, your family is like my extended family. Short of getting my walked in dessert of chocolate cake, we're pretty much family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How are you enjoying the quarantine with family, with the family time?
Um, Honestly, at first it was really hard. My dad and I, our relationship is based mainly on music, and so when we couldn't go to concerts and we couldn't go to shows that I was playing, our relationship started to get kind of like how are we gonna still be a father and daughter without going to concerts? But
Without the activities.
we definitely have figured it out. We have a lot of weird inside jokes now. Um, I think our sense of humor kind of aligned over quarantine, and my mom, we have a pretty solid relationship based on anything that's going on. But my dad, our relationship kind of changed, but maybe in a good way.
That's good. That's great. Um, my relationship with my son changed. It got a little bit different. He's been coming to my shows and seeing me do all this stuff, and we even traveled a little bit during part of the quarantine when I was like relocating.
Yeah.
So we got to spend some good family time. Um, how about this? So a lot of people won't know. Um, man, I might revisit this for one of the podcast questions. But you have been doing a lot with school, even in quarantine, right?
Yes. So, I actually decided to be homeschooled this year, and I'm a senior in college. No, I'm a senior in high school. But I'm also in college,
At
and
what age?
I just turned 18.
Awesome.
So I'm a senior in high school, and I'm going to graduate high school in May with my associate's degree. So then in the fall, I'm going to attend college for music business, and I only have to go 3 semesters. So I will graduate college at the age of 19 with a full 4 year business degree.
Because you've been doing while in high school and while running your band,
Mhm.
you've also been taking college courses.
Last semester, I took 7 college classes. In the summer before that, I took 4. Now I'm only in um, 3, but because I only have 3 classes left to take. But it's honestly been really nice because things are starting to kind of get busier again with music. And so it's been good to not have to do as much as school.
What do you think the future is of music, of like the performance industry?
Honestly, I have no idea, but
What's your best educated guess, you think?
I feel like live streams, unfortunately, in my opinion, may become the future um, because it's so much easier to pull off. But then I also disagree with that because nothing is like being present at a concert. Playing to people or seeing people live, it's just not the same on a screen, but it's really now we've kind of mastered that technology.
I was talking with Mike Gallo from Agnostic Front, and he's
Mhm.
been playing bass for them for 20 years. And I don't know. Have you ever been to a hardcore show?
Not really, no.
Have you ever been to like a sold out show where there was a bunch of people moshing?
Yes, but I was not involved in those people
So
moshing.
now imagine that, right? But all the dudes have like big beer bellies or they're like bodybuilders and they're all sweaty and hairy. And there's so many of them on the floor that they spill over onto the stage. You know what I mean? Like there's so many people jumping around and crowd surfing and stage diving and
Mhm.
there's so many of them that they look like popcorn kernels. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't know how that show is ever going to happen again.
no.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There'll be some, I'm sure, there's going to be like an underground scene that's going to like I don't know if we're going to get back to the worlds of speakeasies or what, like
Yeah.
but I luckily I've played the Whiskey a Go-Go 3 times.
Mhm.
All 3 times were sold out. What's sold out going to be? You know, sold out meant that there was people, shoulder to shoulder, wall to wall.
Mhm.
Sold out's going to be what? 30 people?
Yeah.
6
If,
feet of distance on the floor of the Whiskey? Are you kidding me? That's like fit 15 people on that floor.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not a big venue. It's not like Madison Square Garden. Um, I agree with you. I agree. I think that the temperature of the world made things more possible. I will tell you that I've heard about this thing called Jam Kazaa. Have you heard about it?
No.
As long as you have a hard-lined internet connection, you can jam with people over the internet with no latency.
Really?
Really? Uh-huh. Oh, look at those. Everybody, please look at the gears turning. Please. Please. Look at those gears turning. Yep.
Yeah, that would be very helpful because
Mm-hmm. Because
guitar
your band is where?
in California.
So, all of them or what?
Uh, I don't currently have a drummer. But one guitarist,
Is
Chris.
your drummer is your drummer under this non-compete also? No.
um, my guitarist Crispy Burrell is in New Jersey, and my other guitarist Diego Vargas is in California. But we're actually going to be meeting for the first time a week from today. They're flying in.
So Johnny Johnny doesn't work with you full time or what?
So in the past, I've always ran my band on a hired gun system, and I'm looking to change that to be more of like a team, kind of have some support and help trying to build the band because it's really hard to do it on your own while you're still having to hire all of these people to play with you. Um, and I think Diego and Crispy are really going to be willing to help me out here.
Are
And
you willing to give up percentage of Abby K in order to have that?
I am honestly because um, that means that like instead of before when we were a hired gun band, I didn't get paid, but I still had to pay my band. Um, but now
I think that's the better option, but continue.
if we're a team working together, um, I think it'll just be better off in the beginning because I won't have to.
In the beginning, right. Okay, so pause.
Okay.
So let's not just be a complete millennial.
Okay.
You are right. In the beginning, it most definitely will be easier in the beginning. But in the middle, it's going to get harder because people are going to also want to get paid for their work because 20% of nothing is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not making money, right, that distribution of funds is going to cripple the overall business because it's one thing when you're a business owner to sacrifice your paycheck for the business. It's a whole other thing for three business owners to do that.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a lot harder for them to do that, right? Um, so there's something to consider with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this music thing, this isn't a short-term goal. This isn't a lottery.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long-term brand. This is like understand that Diego the guitar player or Diego the guitarist rather is never going to be really be able to leverage Abby K on bass for his own personal growth or branding. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's going to be a songwriter with you and percentage of songs. Yeah. Percentage of, performances over a certain net, right? Not gross, but over a certain net return, after all expenses. Um, yeah, percentage of funds. That stuff's going to be few and far between, though. You know,
Yeah.
it is better for you as a business owner to not have to give out a paycheck. But as we are learning, we don't want to give away a percentage of anything that is us.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think we'll ever be completely equal because the foundation is myself as Abby K. I think it'll probably turn into a like Abby K and the somethings,
And the Rascals, Abby K and the Rascals.
where they
Just
have more
messing.
of a say. Um, they don't have necessarily the like ultimate control, but they do have more of a say in decisions, and they can help me out with songwriting because that's something that I haven't really been able to do in the past.
I think it's cool. That's good. I just since the day I met you, I want nobody to own anything of you other than you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never gonna agree to that.
Hmm.
I don't even if it is in your best interest, because it might be. Um, when you're valuing your newfound goals and your new approach to Abby K in 2021 and beyond, right? Yes, you're going to have to make short-term goals, but make sure that that short-term goal isn't jeopardizing the veracity of the long-term goal,
Yeah.
right? Make sure that that long-term goal is still going to be one that's going to be in the record books.
Hmm.
Even if the short-term goal affects it, just make sure that the long-term goal is still in your favor.
Hmm.
Um, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I like that.
Thank
All right. So how about we get into this intro here and we'll talk about a couple things. I'm gonna talk with Holly and see if she wants to throw the college thing in and just like snip it in somewhere because I like that. I like that. I want people to know that you are not only a phenom on the stage, but also in the library.
Okay.
Okay. Um, this first one is gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty cool. So I'm not, once we start this thing off, we're gonna start like do the same thing. We're gonna riff a little bit, and then I'm gonna just like kind of ask the questions. I might not ask them exactly as they're written because I'll like look down at it, read it, and then I'll just like say it the best that I remember it for that moment. And yeah, you ready?
Mhm.
And your social is Abby K on bass for Patreon,
Mhm.
and that's the same on everything, right?
Yes.
.com, everything.
Mhm.
There's a good theme there because she's Holly West Music on everything. I'm Dean Music Official on everything, and you're Abby K on bass on everything. It's good. It's good. It's a good sign, right? All right. You ready, girl?
Mhm.
All right. And I'm here now with Miss Abby K on bass. Abby has been a student of mine for a few years on and off when she's not busy taking over the stage and being the phenom that she is. She is graduating high school and going to college and at the same time, as well as playing the bass and shredding and writing songs and doing music videos and doing live streams and getting her license all at the same time. So everyone welcome Miss Abby K on bass.
Thank you.
I'm super, super, super excited to have you on the show. You know how much I love teaching, and for me to be able to have one of my students who I learned so much from you as well. Like I don't just teach you, like I also learn from you. Um, I'm just so super excited to have you on here. First things first, how are you? How is quarantine treating you? How is the band doing? What's going on with the band?
I'm pretty good. Quarantine has been, um, I've been through many different stages, but right now I'm the most inspired that I've been in the entire past year.
Is
Um,
that because we're getting like close to the end of maybe possibly of quarantine, or is it just because you're getting stir crazy?
Honestly, uh, towards the end of 2020, I started to get kind of burnt out, and I took an entire 4 weeks off.
Of
and
like music or
January,
what?
I called it my mental health month, and I didn't force myself to do anything. And a week in, I found myself writing songs because I wanted to. Um,
Weird. In fact, I think I might have been partially responsible for some of that.
yeah.
I think we linked up to do like a check-in, and
Mhm.
you were like, "Yeah, I need a break. I need a break." And then we talked, and I think yeah, you worked on some stuff because you had some inspiration after we spoke. But then I'm happy to hear that you were able to relax and take a break. It's really hard. So that's one thing. That's one of the first things that I do want to address. I know that I have some questions that are pre-planned, but one of the things I do want to address is, um, for you, you started off, if I'm not mistaken, you played mostly covers, if not all covers, the first show that I played with you, right?
Yeah, so the first show that I played was um, opening for Nita Strauss in Spartanburg, South Carolina, back in 2018. Um, I was strictly a cover band at that point.
And so from then
And
you've started writing songs and you've been releasing singles. So now, so this is where I wanted to kind of jump right into is now writing songs is like your job, kind of sort of, right? Like you're used since then you've been pushing this brand. And so now that writing songs have become your job, is it harder?
honestly, not really. It kind of goes through these different stages of where I'm at. Um, in the beginning, it was really hard for me to just sit down and write a song unless something major happened. Like the first song that I wrote was It Should Have Been Me. That was after a band said, "Hey, you're gonna be in this band." Oh wait, no, you're not. Um,
Right. Yeah, I remember. I remember.
yeah, so it used to have to be very motivated and inspired in order for me to get a good song, but over quarantine, I'd say especially, I've really been trying to focus on songwriting because that's pretty much the biggest thing that I could do. And one thing that I've been doing to perfect that is I've actually started listening to songs and not just listening to them to just enjoy them, but listening to what words they rhyme together and the structure. And I've learned a lot from doing that.
So you've been studying the structure of the art
Hmm.
because most songs, right, are basically, at least mine and many of the songs that I listen to, are primarily based upon interaction with another human and it either being awesome or it being hell. Like that's most songs, right? It's either you're awesome, I want to party with you, or you broke my heart. Like that's basically the gist of almost every song.
Hmm.
Um, so with so much less interaction, um, with quarantine, what about that aspect of the art? Is that why you're focusing on like the structure so much? Because there is less overall interaction. Like, yes, we still are interacting, but obviously way less than we all ever have.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed, because, in the beginning it was inspired by like moments, but I didn't really have those. And I kind of started to open up more in my songs and become more emotional and let people in that I haven't really been willing to do before. And so I wrote about some pretty personal things. And
You totally have a Taylor Swift writing style. I feel like almost every song you write might as well be a breakup song. Like they're really good. They're really good. That's a total easy way for me to fall in love with the song is for it to be like a a thumb in the nose of someone trying to oppress you. That's my favorite kind of song. Um, all right, so into my list of questions. That was all just off the top of my head right there. Because yeah, I do wonder. I wonder like what the young creatives have to do now that their lives are so much different. Even me, I can think back to the last 37 years of my life, and 36 of them are human interaction.
yeah.
When you're 18 years old, And you think about the last 18 years of your life, and 17 of them were human interaction, or like 16 and a half, really, right?
Mhm.
How many of those did you know, because like the most of the human interactions we're going to even think about are going to be in our adolescence, and you really kind of only had the first few years of that yet. You haven't even had any of the crazy stuff happen yet.
Yeah, I definitely had to put myself in other people's shoes and try to imagine what those experiences would be like. Because, I mean, if I'm being honest, everyone experiences emotions and feelings differently. So if I'm trying to imagine what it sounds like and it's not completely accurate, it's fine because if I went through that, it may have been different than someone else.
Right. And that's, again, that's where the mentorship part is pretty cool, because, you know, getting to share those moments with people, getting to share those experiences, hopefully it clears up some of the inner workings.
Hmm.
So now you are a singer songwriter. Um, so what are some of the major aspects of your musicianship that you felt that you've had to focus on the most? And the same question, but for your business. So you've held alongside your musicianship the last few years, you've built a brand and you've built a business. So, A, you know, what are the biggest aspects of your musicianship that you've had to focus on? And B, what are some of the biggest aspects of your music business side have you had to focus on?
I'd definitely say in the actual music part of it, I've had to focus mostly on singing. That's the one thing that didn't really come naturally to me. Just ask my
I
mom.
find that hard to believe, but
Oh,
okay.
I used to be an awful singer.
Yeah, well, you know damn well that you have one of my favorite voices on the planet. You know damn well. I tell
I
you
don't
every time.
understand why, but I
I
think
I know why. I know why. Listen to your songs, man. Listen to your album. Like, that's why you have a specific tone to your voice that just people just don't have. You know, there's a tone to it.
okay,
Just my
maybe.
opinion. My opinion.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to work on singing. I actually started taking vocal lessons with a rock vocal coach in Los Angeles over quarantine. Because guitar and bass, they came pretty naturally to me. I don't want to say it was just easy for me because obviously I had to practice every single day. Um, but singing just was something that I wanted to strengthen. So I've been working a lot on that. And then I'll touch on the music business side. One thing that I've been really trying to work on is social media, especially now. Social media is all you have. Um,
Any of my friends that I've sent in your direction, I've sent a couple people in your direction. People like Alex,
mhm.
and Holly and stuff. And anytime I send someone to your socials, they're like, "Oh man, she's on point. Like she's doing it
Really?
right." Yeah, really.
Oh, lately I've been
Well,
insecure.
yeah. Listen, lately we all do the best we can, but when we look at the overall summation,
Yeah.
you know, like there's this whole business plan about how you should do social media. Like you can only do so much before
Yeah.
you have to like just do whatever you can. But when they look at the overall aspect of everything you're doing, from your YouTube to your covers, right? Abby does covers with her band. She's been doing these quarantine jam videos. She's been doing riffs and licks and album reviews and songs that have inspired you, and favorite band t-shirts and all kinds of other fun interactive stuff. You've started your own Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Abby K on bass, right?
Yes.
Like you're doing it. You're not even old enough to drink yet, you know. Like, and you're doing just as much if not more than all the other people I know. You know, that's it's hard work, right?
Yeah. But I was very determined when quarantine hit, especially to get a head start on social media to the point where I actually took a few courses in it. And then I started managing social media for a few small local businesses.
Even before quarantine, when I saw you at NAM last year, you were taking social media classes and doing going to like the seminars there. You've tried to be very much on point. So you would say that for the music business point, it's you've been focusing online anyway,
Hmm. I
even
definitely,
before quarantine.
I don't miss an opportunity to learn something.
Mm.
And last year, I was all over the place going from this class to this class to this class to the point where I just missed lunch every day because I didn't want to miss out.
Did you sign up for NAM this year?
I did.
You did, and one of our other mutual friends, another one of my students, Shannon, she did some classes last night. She sent me the link. I got some email from them, and then she sent me the link. And I don't know, like when I went to, I like registered and everything, but then when I went to like, I don't know, verify my email, it just sent me into this endless loop where it was just constantly having me enter in my email address, and it was sending me an email that's like, click here to verify. I'd click there to verify. It'd send me to the same page, and so I just gave up on it. And I told Shannon, I was like, you know what? Anything I wanted to see at NAM, I'll just look it up on YouTube. I'm sure
Yeah.
that they're going to be,
Hmm.
posting a lot of stuff. It does suck to miss out on the seminars. I do miss that. Um, wow. What was your greatest experience from NAM last year?
Um, I met some of my, like, I don't want to say heroes, but some of the people that I look up to in the industry for the first time. And it was crazy when I went up to them to introduce myself. They were like, "Oh, hey, Abby." I was like, "Wait a second. How do you know who I am?" um, like I met Nikki Stringfield and Courtney Cox for the first time, and they just knew who I was, and I don't even really know how.
Well, you have interaction with Nita, and they are both very, very much there. They're from the Iron Maidens, and they're empowering women. You did some of that a couple years ago. You did, like, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. You were part of that Women in Rock photo shoot, weren't you? That
Yes.
photo shoot down by the steps
Yeah, that was
with
last
Jack Lew or whatever.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, exactly. So that's why, man, because you're making yourself known. You're doing the things that they're all doing. You put yourself on the same path as those who you look up to. You just might find that one day they're going to be next to you on that very same path. So don't tell me you don't know how. I know how. You busted your ass. That's how. And that's what I want people to see, and that's what I want people to hear. Like, so much of it is just, doing it, making sure that you're seizing the opportunities that are put in front of you.
Hmm.
What aspect of online promotions and resources have you relied on the most to grow awareness and strengthen your career? So you said social media, right? But there's more than just that. There's your website, there's Zoom, right? There's Skype, there's Discord, there's YouTube. These
Hmm.
are all technically social medias, right? Even Zoom, if you have more than one person on a Zoom call and you have your own Zoom like conference room, it's almost the same as having your own Instagram page or your own chat room, like um I'm so old that we used to have chat rooms on AOL, and I would be like in like the New Jersey rocker and goth like chat room, and people would start these things, and people would come around, um and they would just come to common ground,
Hmm.
and that, so out of all of these things, out of all of these resources, which would you say are the have worked the best for you?
Um, Honestly, I would probably say Zoom because you can do anything. Um, like I do interactive live streams on my Patreon, um, where it's just sometimes I'll have my guitarist on there too, and we can do a band Q&A. Um, Last week I played a song that I was in the middle of writing. It wasn't even finished. So
Is
they
it
could,
the same one that I heard?
no, that was just written in 22 minutes tonight, the one that you heard.
So was Paranoid. So
Yeah.
was paranoid.
And then also I teach a few lessons per week also on Zoom. I do my school on Zoom. I would definitely say Zoom is very helpful for so many aspects.
Shannon wanted to do interviews with stuff, and she was saying that she was having some issues. And I was like, you should get Zoom, and then record it on that.
Hmm.
Because I think she was like trying to call people on Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, I'm gonna send you $15 back from your monthly lessons, and this month Zoom's on me. Trust me, you want it.
Yeah.
Because you and I did lessons online way before the world was shut down. Because I lived in New Jersey. I met you in North Carolina or South Carolina, right?
Mhm.
South.
Yeah.
Is Spartanburg, South Carolina?
Yeah.
Um, my whole life, I've never gotten North and South Carolina right. I never get that right. Um, that's harder than New England clam chowder or Manhattan clam chowder. That's like I can figure those two out. Um, but yeah, so we did lessons and we used to do Skype, and then I was even trying Discord at one point. And then when I first moved out to LA, I was relying very heavily on Skype because I do stuff with an interface so you can hear everything with the fractal. And I'll tell you, Zoom, wow, dude. Like, I believe in it so much. The second that we all got locked up, it was and School of Rock founded School of Rock. We were trying to use Google Hangouts for stuff, and it was like failing for our meetings. And then they like made these free Zoom accounts. I was like, oh my God, this is the most stable platform I've ever used in my entire life for this. Like, and like to the point where we were like teaching on Zoom, but still holding our meetings on Google Hangouts. And I was like, on Google Meet. And I'm like, guys, this sucks. Like, like I would log in and like my mic wouldn't work, or like, the captions wouldn't be there, or like, and so we switched everything to Zoom. Like, it's so awesome. Yeah, that's a huge resource. So what about though the difference of, like, let's say your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your website, and do you have a Snapchat?
Yes.
So out of those four, and at five include YouTube. So LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. What do you think? Snapchat?
Um, I think for me personally, I'm a young female and my target audience is also young girls, which is mainly going to be found on TikTok. I have not had much success with TikTok because um, I don't post the ideal content on there. I
You don't
don't,
do all trendy challenges?
uh, I try to. I don't have what it takes to be a TikTok dancer. Um,
I
but
mean, everything just takes practice.
yeah, I know.
Well, you
Um,
don't have to be a TikTok dancer. So do you watch Gary V all the time, right? Gary Vaynerchuk?
mhm,
Right. He's a huge advocate for TikTok.
yeah,
All you have to do for TikTok is build your content.
yeah,
It could be you just doing a quick clip of one of your songs or something. It could be you doing something funny. It doesn't have to be what other people are doing. It just has to be your content. You can go on there and just like read from a script or read a quick line, or do like act out one of your lines, or like make some sort of reaction thing where like one person's talking to another person and it's just like working out your line.
yeah,
You could make skits about song structure. You could make skits about writing lyrics. You could make skits about how you like using the same word over and over again. You know what I mean? If there's one word that you use in every song, you can like make little skits about it. Like every time you come to that song, be like, you know, or you come to that word in that song, you just come up with a different idea. Um,
yeah,
I think TikTok and LinkedIn, I agree with him where like TikTok's still growing, so it's still on an upswing. I think YouTube's the best.
mhm,
Um, It's the best other than fighting the algorithm. Like fighting that algorithm sucks. Um, but I think LinkedIn's great because it's supposed to be like still very organic. I mean, the reason why it's organic is because there's less traffic.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I rely on Instagram. Um, that's my chosen platform. I do Instagram and I do Patreon.
Yeah.
And when did you start your Patreon page? Did you start that during quarantine?
I did. I tried to do a Patreon sometime last year, I think. Um, and I spent 6 months with zero. So I took it down. I spent about 2 weeks trying to make it better, figuring out how I can actually make this a thing, what I'm going to post, how often. And I completely redesigned it. And now I have 10 patrons. And you know what? I'm pretty proud of that for now.
You should be proud of that for now. I
Yeah.
just I just started my Patreon page and I got 5 patrons within the first week and a half or 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And that blew me away. I was like, all right, maybe I'll get like one or something,
Hmm.
but every little bit counts. I'll tell you right now, even just getting my first patron um gave me a little boost in there, right? Because one of the things that's really hard right now is secret to everyone, but performers really feed off of the energy of people wanting them to continue doing what they're doing. So when we're in a show, we're at a show, we're on stage, and you're like, yeah, like we kind of really thrive off of that. And so when there is no more that, yeah, it's really we kind of get like salad fingers. We kind of get like depressed and shit. We
Yeah.
feed off of those endorphins. So a thing like Patreon, where it's not exactly that, yeah, it is a nice little nod, like, hey, we can't wait to see you live again. We're gonna try and help you a little bit. And like
Yeah.
it's not just about the purchase, right? It's about feeling like someone's behind you.
It's very validating for me.
I'll tell you, I started my Patreon page after um I listened to a seminar by the guy who created Patreon, and his failure to success story with his band, and how he had GoFundMe's and things worked out well, and it was all these ups and downs. And the guy who started Patreon like was in a band that he was trying to have it be successful, and they did play big shows, and they never made boatloads of money, and they were just trying to continue. And like, so Patreon was kind of like a monthly GoFundMe, because like a GoFundMe or like a Indiegogo, they end.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I know people hate on this platform because of this rule or that rule, or especially when politics gets involved, and red versus blue and all that stuff with that platform. But man, for us artists, it's an astonishing platform that, I'm still growing. Eventually, mine is not only going to include my music, because right now on it, I have music. I'm doing this extended interview. Everybody who's watching this, you will see, and I will tell you also right after this interview on the podcast, that if you want to see the full extended interview with Abby, all you have to do is go to my Patreon, and our entire conversation will be there. Plus or minus that song if she lets me post it. Or maybe I'll just have her give me a. That's what I'll do. I'll have you when you make yours. I'm gonna have you make a teaser for my Patreon, and so that way I can put up the teaser and send people to your page.
All right. That was.
Yeah, yeah. See, got a cross platform with that, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's just these being able to have that support and being able to continue on. It really just helps us. It really, really, really does. Um, this is a good one. This is a good one for you. This is a question that I didn't come up with and had no knowledge of your current life situation when Holly and I were discussing your questions. So what do you do to battle discouragement when faced with an impossible task? That's the first part of your question.
Okay. Um, I handle things in many different ways, but when I get really mad, I channel that anger into a song. Um, I have I could fill an entire album with songs about things that I was mad at or people that I was mad at.
That's my first album. It's a whole album of things that I was mad at.
but yeah, I try to stay calm when something not always in my favor happens, but uh, I usually end up writing a song within the hour. And when I'm really mad, uh, today I wrote an entire song in 22 minutes.
Yeah, but that's a banger of a song, dude. So you write this, or you try and write music and you try and create art when you get discouraged.
Hmm.
What is something that you would like to see other people focus on when they are discouraged? People who look up to you and people who you would like to inspire. What do you want to see them do when they get discouraged?
Well, if you are a musician, the best thing you can do when you get angry is channel it as motivation, get better. Um, Another thing that I do, if I get angry, I'll go to the gym and work out. I'll have the best workouts when I'm angry. I'll run the farthest when I'm the most upset. Um, but yeah, I think especially for me, between uh, being able to channel that as motivation to get better. I also, when somebody tells me that I can't do something that I want to do, I have the I will prove them wrong mindset. And not because I want to prove them wrong, but because I want that for myself so badly that I want for them one day to say, oh, I was wrong. She did do it because I can do it.
It's good to know that you don't need to prove them wrong, but it also feels good when you do.
Yeah.
Because I've had musical inspirations in me, people who I've looked up to, who I really relied on to kind of guide me along my way, who really just were horrible, horrible people to me. And I had a poster of this guy's band. I used to have my workstation, like my desk, my recording computer, and then back over there was like the TV with the video games. So when like I get burnt out, then you go and play video games, then whatever. But right next to the TV, I had a poster of this dude's band. And it was because it was like, don't get too comfortable. You're going to look at this and you're going to see this guy and you're going to turn back around and put your back to that TV and you're going to get back at that computer and you're going to work on that material and you're going to kick his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 10 times over, like my career versus that dude's career. I did. And I didn't do it for those reasons. But when the going get tough, where do we get that extra fuel from, right? Like some of it's going to be the anger of the douche who screwed us.
Yeah.
You got fuel for days, months, years, kiddo. Like as artists, anything that happens, we channel that. And I love that that's your mindset because along the path, people are going to take advantage of us. People
Mm-hmm.
are going to, you know, uh, put us in situations where we feel helpless and powerless, but we just have to know that we are never helpless. We are never alone. And we are more powerful than any bigot ever could be. Um, you know, Anybody who expresses any form of bigotry, I guess it would be, right? Bigotry. They're showing that they're weak.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that someone wants to cut you down along your path, they're showing you that they are weaker than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to keep our head up and we have to strive forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Abby K on bass. Are there any final thoughts that you would like to say to our fans, such as what was your last single that came out and where can they find it?
My last single that came out is I Thought That I Loved You. You can find it on all streaming platforms under Abby K. You can also find me on all social media at Abby K on Bass and on my website, abbykonbass.com.
And how do you spell Abby K?
ABBY space K.
As in the letter.
Yes.
I just wanted people to know that it was not K-A-Y. Well, Abby, thank you so much for being on here. I can't wait to have you back on. I want to have you back on in around the springtime so we can talk about some other deep, dark secrets of the music industry world. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Make sure you check out Abby K on bass. We will have her on again because with Bass Cafe with Holly and Dean, Abby really is like the type of mascot person that I would like to show people that this show is really for and about, because she has done it all and her journey is just beginning. I cannot wait to see what the next 20 years has in store for this girl, because I know for a fact she's going to take over. So make sure you check her out because you don't want to be the last. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Abby.
Bye.
All right. And
Do
then
you
we'll cut.
want me to leave?
What?
Am I actually supposed to go by, or are we doing more Patreon talking?
We could do whatever. We could do whatever. I actually do have a lesson in a little bit, so I will have to go soon.
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I teach in different time zones. It's I got to teach a lesson with this guy in Colorado, and our lesson tends to go like 2-3 hours, so sometimes it goes to like 12 or 1 with me. It's rough. It's a rough life, girl.
I
Dude,
usually go to bed at 9:30.
what?
I usually go to bed at 9:30.
I've been going to sleep early. Dude, last night I usually am up really late. Last night I went to sleep at 10 o'clock instead of like 2 o'clock like normal. I go to sleep like 2 or 3 in the morning and I wake up at 7. I have to go and pick up my son, and I pick him up at his mom's house and I bring him to my house. So he does like, I have all the technology stuff and all the big screens and mouses and keyboards and all this other stuff. So like he comes here to hook up his little tiny Chromebook to like a workstation. You know, he gets like a 50-inch TV that hooks up to his little tiny Chromebook.
Yeah.
And he does school here, but lately I've been going to sleep at like 10 o'clock at night. So all that means is that I've been waking up at 4:30 in the morning, because when I go to sleep earlier, it's not like I still sleep until 7. I like wake up at 4 and I'm like, all right, I'll try and go back to sleep. And like, I don't, you know, so it's pretty crazy. It's pretty rough, but I like waking up early anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, you're a phenom. You're a phenom. You don't have to thank me. I'm just telling you something you should already know. I know you're going through hard musical times, and I promise you, I got your back, dude. And I do want the Patreon people to see this, and I don't care. We don't have to go into specifics, but just know that it doesn't matter to me. And there's not just me. And I know you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that you have like this messed up music industry contact fallout of any kind, you just got to rely. It's not just music industry, right? It's going to be in life. In life, there's going to be all these scenarios. And when they fall down and they're not ideal and they're quote unquote a bad breakup, you find a nice shoulder to cry on. You don't cry there for too long. And then that same person who let you cry on their shoulder, the only way you cry on their shoulder is if they're also the person who's going to smack you in the ass and be like, all right, now get to work.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be coddled. Like, and just think about 3 of the people that we talked about in that podcast: Nikki Stringfield, Courtney Cox, Nita Strauss.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 broads dealt with so much sexism, I'm sure, and and horrific scenarios that people trying to take advantage of them, um you know business wise, physically, like just because they were girls.
Yeah.
And you can't ever let them, like if you watch any movie, it's not that you have to be stoned, but you can't ever let them see that you're not stoned.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, my lessons here,
All right.
so I'm gonna go teach some guitar.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Good for you. um Reach out to me.
I,
Just don't, anytime that this shit happens, just
yeah.
you text Big Brother Dean, and if he has to, he'll fly around the country and whip people around the room in their ponytail for you. All right.
All right.
Now, but for real, reach out to me at any time, and especially with all this stuff that's unfolding as it unfolds, hit me up. All right.
I will.
Bye, Abby.